talk about a nail biter. Hey everyone, Templar74 here with another video, and today's video is going to be my review of the latest episode of Sword Art Online, Alicization War of Underworld, episode 16, Code 871. And I gotta be honest with you guys, when I said this episode was a nail biter, I wasn't kidding. This episode has been different from the last few episodes, because the last few episodes, as I've said last week and the week before that, they were just like that. The episode just flew by. You could snap your fingers and something epic would be happening. This episode was a bit slower in my opinion, but it had a lot of built-up drama and suspense. It had you at the edge of your seat here, and it ended on yet another cliffhanger that's having you go, really? We gotta wait another week? But I digress on all of that, and we'll talk about all of that soon enough. So at risk of further rambling, though, let's move on to the actual episode. So the episode begins where we left off last week with Yanni and Higa being held at gunpoint by Yanni, and these two have a verbal confrontation as Yanni vows to avenge Sugo, his boss, his master. And yeah, Sugo got a mention in this episode, so his fan base is probably extremely happy. If that creepy, perverted guy can even have a fan base, I don't know, because he's a rapist, a pedophile. Yeah, Sugo, not a good guy, but he does get a mention in this episode here. And Yanni, of course, reveals that he was essentially Sugo's right-hand man in developing the human experimentation. However, he was able to pin the blame on somebody else, so he managed to get away scot-free. So we learned that Yanni was really the pervert behind the pervert, so to speak, because he was the one doing all the human experimentation on Asuna, and yeah, I have a real disdain for Yanni right now. I had a disdain for him in the light novel, even more of a disdain now, because they had to bring up that whole human experimentation thing with Asuna again. I could have really done without seeing that. I'm not going to lie about that. I really could have done without seeing that. But anyway, shivers of that aside, now we go on to Sinon and her duel with Subtleizer here. And Subtleizer, of course, making his appearance here. There's this ominous music in the background. I love that ominous track that's playing for Subtleizer, by the way. And Subtleizer basically goes, I know you. We've battled before. Your name is Sinon, right? Or Shinon, right? And so, yeah, Subtleizer remembers her, and he remembers that he wasn't able to steal her soul the last time, but he vows to see if he can steal a living person's soul through the STL as he puts this dark aura around Sinon, and now she's unable to move. She's grasped with fear. She can't do anything as Subtleizer brings her closer to him and vows, like he did in the flashback, to steal her soul, and her soul will be so sweet. Again, really creepy here, but before Subtleizer can have his way with Sinon, she is saved by none other than Kirito. The pendant that she has from the whole death gun incident here in Kirito comes back, it saves her, it manages to get Subtleizer off of her, and it snaps her back into reality. She's like, who could have saved me? She realizes that it was Kirito, and she uses this determination to fight Subtleizer. She's not going to back down, and she turns Solas's bow into her Hecatite rifle, and she vows to duel with Subtleizer, saying, you are not God, you are not a demon, you are nothing but a human. And these two end up having an epic duel here as Subtleizer draws his gun, and so this is going to be a duel of guns between these two, which I really did love that. That was really well animated in my opinion. But now that we've gotten Sinon's duel with Subtleizer underway, now we leave them and we go on to the bloodbath with Asuna here. The battle is not going well with these Korean and Chinese players. They're completely overrun. The ALO players are completely getting slaughtered here, and ultimately it's none other than the Sleeping Knights who realize that they got to break through, and they're asking Yuki to guide them, which I thought was another really nice moment here. Really, just everybody is getting fan service in this series. I got to throw that out there right now. Everybody is getting fan service in this series, which some people, you hate that, but some people, like Yuki, you got to love it. But anyway, so the Sleeping Knights managed to back these players off, and they're their magic user is basically trying to plead with them, like, please believe us, you're being tricked. And it's none other than a couple of Korean players that actually take off their helmets, they address them, and they're like, what you're saying makes a lot of sense, because this just hasn't sat right with us since the very beginning. It's none other than Moonface that starts this dialogue here. And so, yeah, it's the Koreans that are actually kind of siding with the Japanese here, which, like I said in the last episode, they were kind of playing on the cultural tension between them. There always has been cultural tension between them, but now, you know, we see this here. However, POH is able to shake this bond, or this rapidly developing ceasefire, and basically put it out instantaneously. He's like, don't believe them. What kind of moron would convert their own personal account into a beta server? You're being tricked. And of course, the Koreans and the Chinese are able to shake off what little bit of reasoning we were able to have, and are now back to the slaughter. And Asuna can't take it anymore. She's watching her friends be destroyed, and she's begging them to please protect the Underworlders at all cost, even though really at this point there's really nothing they can do at this point. So yeah, Asuna's there in the middle of this slaughter, and then we stop with her and we move back on again to Ishkan and Shatta. They're facing down the remnants of the American players with the Pugless. They're completely surrounded. They know they're going to be destroyed, and they're saved by none other than Lipalin and Lifa, who arrive, and they basically break through the line, and they're basically like, okay, we're here to help you. Lifa asks Lipalin to escape with the Pugless and let her handle the rest of these players, because she doesn't want to see them take any more casualties than they already have. So yeah, Lifa here is helping the Pugless and Lipalin and his group here. This is just epic here. I'm not gonna lie, I love this here. This little moment with Lifa and Lipalin here. These two are really clicked, you know, because Lifa's an animal lover. She always has been. So she's really kind of gotten to Lipalin in a way that I don't think any other character could have. So I think that was a nice touch, having Lifa there, and she's vowing to do everything that she can to save the Underworlders here. And then we go back to the Ocean Turtle here, and Yanni's exposure, because the battle between Mr. Miller's gang and Ichiman is basically going like they expected. The JSDF has launched what they have left of smoke canisters into the bulkhead so that they can basically cause some confusion and buy Ichiman some more time for Higa. However, once the smoke clears, they realize that they got to lock the bulkhead. There's nothing they can do at this point after the smoke clears. They got to lock the bulkhead, and they're hoping that Higa is able to pull this off in time. Whether that actually happens now, though, I don't know, because they are unaware that Higa has been shot by Yanni. But it's at this time, though, that Rinko experiences, or notices rather, code 871. And she asks about this. She's like, why is this in here? Kikoa himself even comments on this, that would defeat the whole point of Alicization, and that's when he's like, wait a minute, code 871, where have I seen that before? They realize they've seen that on Yanni. They know that Yanni's the mole here, and they know that he is the one that has sabotaged Alicization. And then we go back to Yanni and Higa down below in the service compartment, and we see Yanni basically admit to Higa what he's done, and that he has been corrupted by Administrator, because Administrator had basically found a way to communicate to the outside first, and she basically told Yanni that you can be my #1 servant if you do this for me, if you help me take over the Underworld. And so Yanni was basically entranced by Administrator into doing her bidding and putting in 871, which had to have been done from the outside, which we learned earlier on. So yeah, Administrator, she is an evil bleep. Yeah, so yeah, Yanni's been corrupted here. It's not that he's a bad guy, and even he admits to Higa, I didn't want to kill anybody. This was supposed to be, we were going to all have a happy ending, because Yanni, of course, has got safe passage once Alice has been retrieved. He's got haven in America. He's got a cushy position at the NSA waiting for him, and a reward. So this was not supposed to be where somebody was going to get hurt or even killed. Yanni didn't want anybody to get killed. And that's when Higa's like, well, wait a minute, don't you realize that this would cause Kirito to essentially die? And that's when Yanni is like, I don't care. he is one person that actually can die because he murdered Administrator, and he's done all this other stuff that Yanni doesn't agree with, but at the top of the list, it's murdering Administrator. In the light novel, it's both a combination of the murdering of Administrator and the meddling with Sugo. It's a combination of all those things. They seem to have censored that out of the anime here. But yeah, Yanni, still, this is not okay, man. Yanni, of course, being exposed here. Higa's bleeding from the arm. And yeah, Yanni, you're the mole. And something really needs to give. Something needs to happen to you. But first, they got to cure Kirito. That's priority number one at this point. So then we go from Yanni and Higa back to the Underworld, back to Asuna. She is completely broken over watching all of her friends get slaughtered, and even Liz is upset about this because she's like, I convinced everybody to do this. This is my fault. And Asuna is hugging Liz and like, no, it's not your fault. And that's when POH finally makes himself known, and POH reveals something that Asuna just makes Asuna just break down. She snaps at this. POH reveals himself, and he reveals that in Sword Art, it was him that leaked the Guild of Laughing Coffins hideout to the raid team because he wanted to make them all murderers so that they would all have to live with the pain of becoming PKers. And this, of course, is something that's haunted Kirito since the beginning of the franchise. And even Asuna's like, do you realize how much suffering Kirito has gone through because of what you've done? And that actually pleases POH. However, he's not satisfied. He's like, well, I want to hear it from him. He's here, isn't he? And he makes a demand. He demands that the Underworld army put down their arms and surrender, and they will not be slaughtered. However, he also wants Kirito brought to him. And so Asuna, she's upset. She wants to save the Underworlders. She tells them all to stand down, and she orders Cinnamon to bring Kirito out. And now Kirito here is he's in this veg state right in front of POH, and Asuna is begging him to please anything but this, anything but this. And that's where the episode leaves off, on this cliffhanger with POH facing down the vegetative Kirito, unable to defend himself at this point physically. And that's where the episode leaves off. So yeah, like I said, this episode was a nail-biter. It wasn't the whole non-stop action thing like these last couple of episodes have been. This episode was a little bit slower pace, but that doesn't take away from the fact that this episode was pretty great, in my opinion. This episode had some fan service in it. There was a lot of revelation made. This episode was really, really dark. Yeah, this episode was just great, in my opinion. Really, the only thing that I really have issue with this episode is the fact that they showed the human experimentation thing again. I'm really not comfortable with that. Yes, I know it's a part of the story, and I know it plays into just it showing how sick this whole thing is, but I really could have done without seeing that. But yeah, other than that, really not a whole lot of negative things I can say. The music was epic. The animation was epic. This episode, while a bit slower pace, was just as good, if not better, than the last couple of episodes, in my opinion. Overall, I give this episode a 9 out of 10. The only thing that stopped this from being a perfect episode, in my opinion, was really, again, showing the human experimentation thing. I don't know why, but it just makes me feel uncomfortable and dirty to watch it. But that said, everybody, yeah, let me know what your guys' thoughts were about this week's episode in the comments section down below. Did you love it? Did you hate it? Let me know, because as always, I enjoy hearing from you. Alright, everyone, as always, Templar74 signing off. Have a great day, everybody, and I'll talk to you all next time. Goodbye, everybody. Hey everyone, Templar74 here. Did you enjoy the video? Do you want to help support me in making more content like this and see your name here at the end of every video? Then consider supporting me on Patreon. Any help is greatly appreciated and will help ensure continuation and increase the quality of production of the videos that I'm able to make for all of you. Link down below. Again, thank you so much for your support and for liking and subscribing. You all are amazing. And as always, everyone, Templar74 signing off. Have a great day, everybody, and I'll talk to you all next time. Goodbye, everybody.